that we would like to never hear the name Jack Smith again. And I thought the last time we did this show, we said that was going to be it. It was done. It was over. But there is some big news. And as President Trump has just said, some great news. It was his quote, coming out of the potential release of a Jack Smith report. I'll put that in quotes.
That's right. So there's some interesting developments here because based off of the federal law, this is 28 Code of Federal Regulations 600.8 paragraph C. At the conclusion of the special counsel's work, he or she shall provide the Attorney General with a confidential report explaining the prosecution or declination decisions reached by the special counsel. Then in 600.9, the Attorney General may determine that public release of these reports would be in the public interest to the extent that release would comply with the applicable legal restrictions. Now, President Trump's attorneys have been filing in court trying to get to make sure that this doesn't get released. They say it's inappropriate. They don't want Merrick Garland to release this, that they think that it is not in the public interest. He's wrapped up the cases. And also it goes to the point where the judge in Florida said that the special counsel was not properly appointed. So therefore, he should not have the opportunity to release something if he was not constitutionally appointed. But then we were going to talk about this on the show. But then there was a move by Judge Cannon in Florida that issued an order today preventing the DOJ from releasing the report while the legal battle plays out. The DOJ decided to continue to fight that case only on the aspect of that they think that special counsels are constitutional and that he was constitutionally appointed. They've wrapped up the other side of it, but that appeal, when she threw the case out based off of an unconstitutional appointment, they have kept alive. She told the DOJ that they cannot release this while that appeals process goes forward. And she said in her order that this rule remains in effect until 3 days after the resolution by the 11th Circuit of the emergency motion, unless the 11th Circuit otherwise orders. So she's also saying that the 11th Circuit, if they decide to keep special counsel on, get rid of him, whatever, they also have the authority to decide whether or not the Department of Justice can release this. So as of right now, that report isn't being released before he takes office, it appears. And it's a very interesting move because, once again, the special counsel's wrapped up all these cases, Logan. They're no longer trying to prosecute, and rightly so. But that special counsel report, remember, we had to listen through the Mueller report and all the spin that the media takes out of it. And they take the juiciest nuggets that they think they can spin on air, and they get everyone to get on air and talk about how bad of a person he is and he should be in prison. And even then, when they had Bob Mueller before Congress and what a disaster that was, it just gives fodder for the left to try and discredit and tear down and take the news away from the actual work of the incoming administration, which is trying to get America back on track. And that's the last thing we need as a country right now, is just a new Jack Smith dossier dropped right as President Trump takes office so that they can just feast on that for as long as they want and not get down to the people's work.
So just to quickly summarize, the breaking news item, the reason President Trump is saying this is great news moving forward, is that it is currently being blocked from release. In the thought process is because it was so politically motivated.
Well, the thought process here from Judge Cannon is that, one, her order said that this individual, Jack Smith, was not constitutionally appointed. That is being appealed in the 11th Circuit in Florida. And so therefore, she's saying if they overturn it or whatever, they can decide their own when they get there. But as of right now, because it's still in legal limbo, that it should not be released. Now, there could be a challenge on that order to the 11th Circuit. There could be a lot of things that play out, depending on how badly Merrick Garland wants to smear President Trump on his way out the door, because his term as Attorney General is coming quickly to an end. We're only 13 days from inauguration, and we can't get there soon enough.
Yeah, and it is crazy, only 13 days away. It somewhat feels like that President Biden had disappeared, that Kamala Harris had disappeared, and you already had a sort of Trump presidency. Sadly, with the terrorist attacks and things that have happened over the last few weeks, it's just put another spotlight back on the Biden administration and some of the failures that they've had and sort of the bumbling issues that have come up, whether in terms of the statements or the comments. And that's been sort of a bit sad to watch, because I felt like we were moving in a direction where we almost had put this chapter behind us already. And now, whether it's giving George Soros the Medal of Freedom, or the situation that happened in New Orleans, or even what happened in Las Vegas, which again feels like disappeared from the news, it's sort of shining that light back on. And even having Kamala Harris yesterday certifying the election, which by the way, we didn't bring up, the election got certified in 35 minutes. I think it said one of the quickest ever. And you had that statement, that video from Kamala Harris being like, I trust the American people. And of course, that was after years of slander.
And a little bit tongue-in-cheek here, but you got to give the Democrats credit for one thing yesterday. Democrats have been objecting to the certification of Republican president-elects for, I think, all the way back to the 50s.
Yeah.
And there has been a Democrat that objects to the certification of a Republican. So that is their MO. That is their game plan. They love to object to the certification.
Playing the hits.
But they, for the first time maybe ever, they were able to convince their entire party, hey, let's not make a scene.
Be bigger.
Let's not do this, because then they'll be able to say, look, you're just like January 6th. Let's not do that. And they were able to somehow corral the most unruly members of their party into not objecting and get through it quickly. I know Kamala Harris is relieved, because you could tell it did not look like she wanted to be much longer up there than she had to be, but they did it. They got through without an objection or someone trying to decertify the election. And you know what that also tells me? For the first time since the 50s, the Democrats truly believe that Donald Trump was rightfully elected. He is our next
50s.
president.
That's the 50s.
Pretty sure
you just said that Donald Trump is the president. You mean the Republican person?
No, the Democrats believe that for the first time, this Republican nominee is the first person that they believe has been elected duly, and they don't need to object to the certification.
It's great. It was very short, and it went off without any issues. I'm going to encourage you to support the work of the ACLJ as we head into the end of the show. There's a great way you can do it. You can sign our petition. You can get involved at aclj.org. Become an ACLJ champion if you can, too. That's someone that gives on a monthly recurring basis. If you give a small donation, that's fine, $10, $20, whatever it is. To become a champion, you just set that monthly membership at whatever price you feel comfortable. I think the minimum is $5 just because of processing fees. You can do that right now. Become an ACLJ champion.